Oh, you are close out the road. It's Russell from Porky's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. Today we're joined by Adam, the Irish kid who lives in San Francisco. How are you doing, Adam? Are you all right, mate?
Yes, lad. Flying, Paul. What's the crack with yourself?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Let's go straight in there. Ryan Garcia, what do you think?
Not good. Not good at all. Yeah, man. I thought it was good for the game that he won. Keeps things spicy. Whether you like him or whether you love him or hate him, he brings eyes to the sport. He generates money, which again, whether it trickles up or trickles down, is good for the sport, but not a good look today at all. Certain elements of it don't really make much sense in terms of for a fact you're going to get tested the day before and the day of and the day after. So if you were going to be doping, why would you take, do you know what I'm getting at? Like, why would you take it the day of when you know for a fact you're going to get caught out? But then you go into conspiracy theories. I mean, if we're going to treat everybody the same, he's tested positive. As of right now, that's the case. Obviously, they're not going to take it back. He's tested positive. Maybe he's in the crusher scenario. How does he prove it? Probably going to be quite difficult. But not a good morning or not a good start to the week, Paul. What do you reckon?
Uh, well, this is how I look at it. He said he put $2 million on himself, right,
Mm-hmm.
to beat Aney. Well, if I were a bookmaker who paid that money out, I'd be all over him like a rash now, wouldn't you?
Big time, and I'm sure they will be. I'm absolutely sure they will be to get the shekels back.
I noticed that Eddie Hills has piped up, rinsing Garcia on IFL, but no mention about Crusher.
No, I know. I actually listened to that this morning as well. I just wanted to see. It was the first one that popped up. I just typed in Eddie Hearn, Ryan Garcia, drug, whatever. He was quite diplomatic in the way he set it up, or some of the things he said. He didn't say Conor Ben specifically, but he kept relating to, I've seen this break fighters. I've been through this for 2 years myself, and so on and so forth. So I think he kind of tiptoed around it as much as possible. If it was him specifically, he would have, if there was no Conor Ben situation, especially after Garcia's dad calling him out and calling him a piece of shit, I'm sure he would have tried to bury them. But I thought he kind of tiptoed around it a bit nicer than usual. But we'll see from the likes of him and Gad and so on and so forth. We'll see how it escalates. But not good for the sport, definitely not.
No, where where does uh, where does Haney go now then with this? I mean, does he become mandatory? I don't know. What do you think?
Potentially, one thing Hills did bring up in the IFL interview was that because the finding happened around the 3 days of the fight, then technically they have grounds to apply for a no contest. The big difference between the Crusher situation and the Ryan Garcia situation, and I'm not making excuses for Garcia, I'm just saying that there's a lot of details here that are very, very different. The whole Crusher situation was he popped in the middle of a camp,
Yeah,
and that was held back from us, the public, for what was it, 6, 7 weeks, whatever.
yeah.
So to me, that screams you were in the middle of allegedly you were in the middle of a drug cycle, and that's why it came up when it came up for Crusher. Like I said at the start of the call, it just seems so bizarre that you would take, if you're Garcia and his camp, that you would take this in the middle of fight week when I'm no drugs expert, but what he popped for is always has traditionally been very, very hard to get out of your system and get out of it your system quickly. So if you were going to take something around the
Wouldn't take
fight,
that, would you, what it took, would you, if you were going to take out?
definitely not. Definitely not. So I remember back in the day, it was kind of ironic at the time because Fury, popped after. But he wouldn't drink the water. Remember when he was out in Germany fighting Klitschko, he wouldn't drink the water they provided,
Yeah.
and this and that. I mean, I don't know if you've heard Terry this morning. He did a quick 17, 18 minute clip. Um, and
Yeah, no.
yeah, kind of like he said, if he was White's defense team before, there's certain over-the-counter supplements that you get that will be spiked with certain PEDs. This is one of them because apparently people, companies put it in normal supplements because you'll notice the physical gains very, very quickly. You buy the supplements, you go to the gym, 2 days later, you see your arms are a bit more svelte. So if you see that, you're going to keep buying the supplement. It's not really the gains from the supplement, it's just from trace elements of ostarine. So I want to hear more. I'm not saying Garcia's in the clear at all and KRUSHER's not. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not going to be hypocritical, but I want to see what's said. But where does Haney go from here was your original question. I don't know. I mean, even if it is a no contest, I think a lot of
Should have
fellas have
been
seen.
flogged on it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, that's going to be with them forever. Not even the
Lady
clip.
could sue now, can't he? Surely, and say you ruined my career, you smashed me up on gear.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he should be able to. Like, I know originally that in their contract, he could have pulled out for the £3 overweight. He was allowed to step away, the whole Haney camp were. Obviously, they didn't.
They
They
took
took
the
the
fine though, didn't they? What 1.6 million they took though, didn't they, for him being on?
exact.
So he went behind the door when that money was in front of his face, ain't he? Worry.
No, exactly, exactly. They took the money, and I know Bill Haney since said they shouldn't have, and but this was
Bill Haley
before.
said they shouldn't have took the money.
No, he said if he could go back. No, this was a couple of days ago. This was
Oh, they shouldn't
before.
have took the fight.
Exactly. They should have left 1.5 million on the counter and just walked away. But it's like everything else, man. Money's the root of, I wouldn't say the root of all evil, but money talks. If
Did Eddie tell him to take it though? Eddie were pushing boat out saying, look, you've got 1.6 million here and the kid's head's gone, you'll beat him. Take the 1.6 extra million on top of the 10 you're getting. So what you get,
mm,
11.6, and just go beat this chump. It's only £3. That's what Eddie would have been coming out with, surely. We know what he's like, don't we?
absolutely. Look, I think that the Haney camp up until now, they've been very strategic with their matchmaking, what fights they've taken, where they've taken them, signing on for one fight deals with likes of Hearn and then moving on to ESPN. So the Haneys have been very strategic in how they've kind of played out his career. I think if they think that they weren't gonna, stand him on his head, they wouldn't have taken the fight. I think they looked at Garcia as a busted flush, a broken man, all the things you could say about him, all the cliches. I think they thought they would beat him regardless of the £3, and that's why they took the fight. And now this will be not the excuse because again he did test positive. That's a fact. We all know it now. But all things being equal, I look back at that fight and it wasn't even a case of now they're going to say that Ryan was on drugs and Ryan came in overweight and they thought he was mentally broken and all the rest. But when Haney got stung, he made no adjustments. And this is a guy people have been talking about as a pound for pound level fighter. And he was in my pound for pound top 10. I'm not going to say he wasn't, but he had no answers at all when he got touched. I
No.
know he was holding a lot, and another referee held him out. But you would think a top level, top five pound for pound fighter would be able to make
He
some
was
some
top
adjustments.
five, or he was top 10, wasn't he? Squeaked in, didn't
Yeah, I had him probably 7 or 8, but the likes of obviously the Haney Camp, Hills, all the rest, you were saying he was top dog, in the top five at least.
he? No.
They
People
just to
were
me,
saying that he got in through back door, but I said he got in through cat flap.
mm, no, I would agree. Look, you know how much I love Loma. I didn't think he beat Loma.
Oh,
Maybe
Loma beat him, did you?
oh, big time. At least seven. I say at least 7-5. Max 8-4, 7-5. But I had Loma winning 7-5. I thought he was very, very hard done by. I understood it. Haney's young, potential future cash cow, all that stuff. I get why he got the decision. I didn't agree with it. Um, no, but even they can hold on to this drugs. I'm not going to say it's an excuse. They can say Ryan was on drugs, but everyone saw what happened to Haney. He didn't make the adjustments. I don't think he dealt well mentally in the ring either with getting touched up, and this will probably stay with him. So there was talks before about Haney and Tank being, close fight. Some people Haney had Haney favored after what I saw against Garcia, and I know styles make fights, but I think Davis would put the nail in the coffin. I think he would get him out of there now, especially with the mental scars that Haney's going to have moving forward. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's a big win for Tank inadvertently. Obviously, he beat Garcia, but I think it kind of puts Tank in the driving seat at between 135 and 140 now. I think he's the if he wasn't the main dog, I think he is the main dog again. So good day for Tank, bad day for boxing.
Well, Tank done Garcia, didn't he? Who done
He
Aim?
did. Yeah.
Who done Loma? But it don't mean to say that Tank does Loma, does it?
No, it doesn't. And when you look back at it now again, hindsight's 2020, but when you look back at how much boiled down Garcia was versus Tank, I know he took the fight, same as Haney. Garcia could have walked away. No one was holding the gun to his head. But it doesn't look like the lad can make 140, never mind 134. So yeah, I would like to see him and Tank go at it, even at 140 or at 144. I still want to see that fight, regardless of how this whole thing with Garcia transpires. Because if we're being honest, nothing's going to change. Garcia's going to fight. Conor Benn's going to fight moving forward. I think the bigger question is we kind of joked about it previously, yourself and myself, about having, PED boxing versus clean boxing. It's just, I don't know. Every time boxing takes a step forward, it takes two steps back, at least in the super fights. And now you look at the long list of guys that have popped, from Canelo, Fury, obviously you have older guys back in the day, Roy Jones Jr., to James Toney. Now you've got Ryan Garcia. I know Conor Benn isn't or never will be a top level fighter, but he was a big British fighter. Obviously, then you have Dillian White and stuff. So this trend seems like it's never going away, does it, Russ?
No, it's what's the answer here? I mean, are they all at it, do you think?
Uh, uh your head would have to lean towards yes, wouldn't it, sir? And I'm talking again at the top elite level, super fight level. Uh Heart would like to say no, head probably says yes. Uh which again is massively unfortunate, but it kind of looks that way, mate. It really, really does.
It's a sad day for the sport, isn't it? But my argument is this: did you get that link I sent you?
I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
can't help himself, can he? The guy, Gareth A. Davis. Why don't you crawl back under that stone that you came from with your black painted toenails? You freak! You absolute freak! You don't mention no about Crusher, do you? Or your big mate Tyson Fury? But you're going in on on Garcia. Double standards for British media. They're embarrassing, aren't they, Adam?
Very bad. Uh, Greasy Gad's at the top of the pile, in my opinion, in terms of how bad can you get. But absolutely, double standards.
They give
I mean,
him a bit of stick, don't they? Fat Dan Rayfield, they give him stick, don't they? But at least he's like down middling kind of thing, unlike these British guys.
he is. I would find him a tiny bit favourable to PBC if you're looking at like kind
Oh
of the
yeah, because
American game.
Eamon looks after him, doesn't he? Eamon, they
He
look
he
after him.
does. He does. No, it's nowhere near on the level of Greasy Gad. That's what I'm getting at. If Greasy Gad is a
Why do
10
you
out of
call,
10,
why do you call him that, Adam Greasy?
because he's a greasy bugger. Do you not think he is? I mean, he's as greasy and slimy as they get.
He's a reptilian mofo, isn't
Oh,
he? Greasy
absolutely.
man.
Greasy. Oh, he's a slimy man. You know, he's just he gets his way in and out of boxing circles, and then like I say, he's reptilian. He's always able to adjust and jump on the new bandwagon, and I'm sure he apologizes behind the scenes and all this. But see, Gad's dangerous. Like I know you've your views on Bean, um, which are completely fair. I was listening to you and Andy there. I was out walking the dog yesterday.
Which views do you mean on being that I don't believe his cancer story?
No, 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 not talking about that, but just like, how you think he has like a negative effect on the sport, or he had a negative effect on the sport when he was head of Sky Boxing.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I didn't fully realize, and this was, I think it was you and Andy were on, it was one of the, or maybe it was you and Kent actually. I thought when Adam Smith was like the quote unquote head of boxing at Sky, I thought it was just them making up a title and giving it to him, to keep him in front of the cameras and this
That's
and
what they
that.
do, don't they? I said to Dennis, what's my job title? He went, you're my head of boxing. I went, oh, man. You've got the full run, that's your office. But when all's said and done, when it comes down to it, you can't sign off on anything without the promoter. And I said, I thought I were head of boxing. He said, yeah, but you can't know without me. It's me paying money. And it's just like that with Eddie Hills. They'll tell Frank Smith, you're a rising star, you're head of matchroom, CEO, and all that shit. Because how come
Yeah.
Frank Smith's a CEO? He goes, do you want to be a CEO? I goes, no. He goes, well then, but if you want, you can be. I'll just say you're a CEO. It's knackers. It's somebody going round, getting people to sign contracts, making a few phone calls. Forget the CEO titles. It's bullshit, mate. Frank Smith can't fart without Eddie Hearn knows. Get a grip, Frank Smith, you CEO.
Oh, mate, no, you're bang on, and
Well, the
again, this
knackers.
this is what I was thinking with Adam Smith head of box, and I used to see it pop up, and I was like, listen, you're head commentator, and that's all well and good, but when I talk about Bean, or I talked about him previously, I looked at him strictly as a commentator. Now, all I was looking for out of Bean was to show up to shows, commentate, and that was it. I didn't want to hear a word before or after the fights because that's when the matchroom bias would come in. Again, I'll stand by it. I thought he was a good commentator. Obviously, he hasn't been in a big job for a while, but to me, Greasy Gad is way, way, way more dangerous because what I expect again from Bean is for him to be a commentator. Show up, commentate, go home, happy days. But Gad is on the ground and Gad is on Talk Sport. And he's saying this and he's saying that and he's rubbing this person's back and he's doing this and he's doing that, where he's spreading bullshit for want of a better expression. And he's doing it on the daily. And he's got an agenda where he's singing off one person's hymn sheet. That's dangerous. And when you have a platform as big as Talk Sport, it's especially dangerous. That's why I call him Greasy Gad, and that's why I have no time for him. And I think even in his first interview about Garcia, it's very, very obvious that he's got kind of one stick for the British fighters, and he obviously has another stick for maybe it's not even British fighters. Maybe it's just he knows Eddie Hills is kind of against Garcia because Eddie Hills is Devin Haney's biggest fanboy. So he's probably trying to keep Eddie sweet by piling on Garcia now. It's a big game of greasy snakes and ladders. I'll stop saying greasy. I'm going overboard. But in fairness to Raphael, for all the crap he does get, and like I said, he is a wee bit on the American thing. He is a wee bit, probably biased towards PBC. But for the most part, you do get it straight down the barrel. Um, and I appreciate that. So screw the gad in the bin.
Can you imagine the scripts I'm going to knock up this weekend when I get a bit of downtime where I can just turn my phone off? You can imagine, can't you? Because I'm going to be watching all these lickers and monitor lizards. I'm going to be watching you all, and I'm going to light you all up because you know who you are. Now you're going to see them all coming out to bat. Now you're going to see Bombay Dave, Tony Bellend, Scam Jones. Oh yeah, you're already got your sermons are already lined up, aren't they? You're going to see them all come out. What I want to know is this, Adam: are we going to see the same energy that we've seen with Crusher Ben? No, we're going to see a different energy. because there wasn't
Mm,
energy from these people for Crusher, were there? But now they're going to be jumping on Garcia, and he's not even had his hearing yet, has he?
mm, I think so.
Look at it anyway.
I think so. I think that Eddie Hearn is going to keep kind of buttoned up on the topic. I don't think he's gonna pull out the double barrel shotgun and go crazy. But I think he'll get all these little minions to do his dirty work.
That's what he'll
And
do. He'll give them all bullets to fire. All the lot of them. Cooks, Puppy Parsons, all the lot of them. You watch it unfold. And you
yeah,
watch me savage a lot of them.
I cannot wait.
Soon
I
as that
cannot
ice
wait.
breaks, underneath it, I don't like that.
They can see you through the ice.
I'll drag them into water. You what, mate?
I was just saying they can see you through the ice. You're like a polar bear waiting to snap.
Listen, mate. Do you know what? I'm that knackered this last couple of weeks. I've had that much on, but I haven't got the time to chase after these lot and lose myself for an hour watching knackers. You can just read the comment sections, look at the clickbaiting titles, have a quick glance.
Mm,
You just know what these monitor lizards are going to say because they all want to stay on side, don't they? That's
mm-hmm,
all it is. They can't be their own men like me, can they? They're their own
mm.
men. So I look at it and I'm going to watch it all unfold. But have we heard up from Garcia yet? Because he's away with fairies, isn't he?
Oh, he's some entertainer. He came out this morning actually. I think it was only a 20-second, 25-second clip. I think he was there with one of his birds. And he just said, just very matter of factly, he was like, "This is wrong." He's like, "I haven't cheated." He's like, "I've never used a steroid in my life." He goes, "I don't even know where to get them." But it wasn't. There was no big screaming match, tears. There was no Piers Morgan. Just 25 seconds. Maybe he's done more since, but when I woke up this morning, that's all he had out.
No
Very
Piers
level-headed.
Morgan.
What's that?
No Piers Morgan.
No, not yet. Not yet. Thank God. So we'll see. We'll see how it transpires. But I'm with you. I want to see the same level of energy. The only fella I've seen so far that I'll give any props to is Spencer Oliver, because I think he stood by. Now I know there is hypocrisy. I know, in my opinion, he should never have interviewed Jarrell Miller, and that's another clown I want us to get on to in a while.
Who interviewed Miller? Jug Ears.
Aye, do you remember when they were over in
Jug
the day?
Ears, you little weasel. Interviewing Miller. He's tested about 6 times, hasn't he? Three different occasions. Six different steroids. You weasel.
Yeah, I didn't love that, but I do respect and appreciate the way Oliver has stayed strong on Ben. He hasn't shooken from his script. I'm sure obviously it's kind of done him bad in the background from Eddie Hearn and so on and so forth. But he was very similar this morning talking about Garcia as he was with Ben. So I'll give him some props there. At least he stayed honest, or at least he stayed on the same script as he has been. So we need to see more of that for sure.
We do. We need to see something, don't we, mate? Because at the moment, after that fight, I was thinking, oh, boxing's turned corner, and I think the only person who had a text off who's heartbreaking, who's the only person I've had a text off who's heartbroken is Kent. Kent texts me and he's devastated, Kent, because
Mm,
he said Garcia win, get him hope. The hope, he says the hope's gone now. The hope ain't gone, Kent. It's just one fight, isn't it, really? And we can't sling Garcia in jail without his hearing, although two adverse findings. It ain't good, is it? It's in his system, isn't it? You know, he's a cheat, isn't he?
it, I mean, and again, I'm probably this is just dream team on the OJ Simpson's dream team back in the day. They had to clutch at straws and kind of pull where they could, and obviously we know how that worked out for them.
Created doubt, didn't they? OJ's team, they dragged that trial on that long. It just created a little tiny bit of doubt, and it was enough with a bit of racism to get him off. And that's all Benn's team have done. They've tried to drag it out nearly what is it, July one. So what we on here, 21, 22 months. They've dragged it out
Mm,
22 months, Ben's team, to create doubt, and they've gone through every scenario and they're still not dealt with. So I think
yeah.
he's guilty, right? This one here, it's in his system. You're responsible, like in the what's that word called? With strict liability.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's strict liability. It's in his system, and if you go back, I've read rule, but when I worked up with Dennis, we spoke about this because Liam Cameron, our fighter
Yeah.
up there, he
Yeah.
failed cocaine. But
Yeah.
what people forgot is, and I don't like to mention this because I'm really close friends with Liam's ex-trainer Chris, but Chris had to side with his fighter. They were an adverse finding for cocaine after the Sheedy fight, but they kept.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about it. Dennis didn't know about it, and we didn't know until the Genman fight because it was Genman fight, wasn't it, when he tested Liam for cocaine, and then it came out about the Sheedy one. But that were an adverse finding, and board didn't go after him; they let it go. But when it happened again,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were 158 on scales, fighting at 160, coming down from 168. So I remember stood there with Ingram Jones at the weigh-in, and Ingram said to me, it was 158. And I went, oh, God, Dennis is going to go mad here because Dennis always used to say, make sure you bang on weight, none of that £2 too much. So Lee, the first thing I said, well, oh, if you take another £4 off Liam, you're like middleweight. You know, that's, but you know what I'm like, don't you? It's gone a bit too far here, but I personally think he'd had some fight week. You know, when they're hungry, I think he
Mm.
had some just to take hunger off. But he said no, he'd handled ticket money and that had got it on it because whatever. So look, my argument is this: if you're doping, you're out at sport. But the Sheedy one, they felt they didn't need to tell Dennis about that one. But the Gemman one, obviously, they nacked him on it, didn't they? Game 4 years. So did he get hammered? I think he did get hammered really because Fury got 2 year ban, didn't he? For a
Yeah.
non-known, a cocaine, and a refusal. The refusal's the worst one, you know. That
Mm.
it's the not knowing what's in it, your system, isn't it? So Fury, for them three, and don't forget a refusal, had that. They came into gym, Fury's gym, and so Tyson was drug test. He went, get fucked. Threw him out. Peter came in gym. What's going on here? Chased him down the street. Peter had been over at sandwich shop over at Road, Margaret's, I think it's called. He chased him down the road, tested, went, no, he's refused. And that's it. Game over, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
these testers, right, they're like littlers, aren't they? But if you're going to mess about with cocaine or refuse or whatever Garcia has been taking, is it a masking agent he's had?
No, it's
Who's got masking agent? Crushers were a masking agent, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. If
exactly.
you're going to mess about with that, get your kit and F off. That's what I say.
Mm.
Go now while you can before I do you in because you're going to waste my time. If I were a promoter, I mean, I get on well with Liam and Chris is a very close friend of mine, but as far as I'm concerned, if I'm a promoter, Dennis had thousands of pounds invested in him. So you have to feel for the promoter, but I didn't see the same energy from Dennis that I saw from Eddie to help Crusher because Dennis just went like that. Once Dennis heard about the Sheedy one, he just washed his hands. He said that.
Mm.
Now, I think if they'd have told Dennis about the Sheedy one, Dennis would have had a word with him and said, what are you doing here? But they didn't know. So he thought, well, I'll get away with it again, then I'll just have less. I don't know. You never get to the bottom on it if somebody's told a whopper, do you? Especially in boxing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't
I mean,
know.
look, ultimately, I'm with you. I completely believe in strict liability. Ryan Garcia and
The
his team are,
system.
yeah, he's responsible, whether, he took it or not. I mean, if you go back to the Garcia Tank build-up, Tank refused to shake B-Hop's hand. And everyone at the time was like, oh, while disrespectful, Tank's a prick, all this. But he came out after and said he didn't want skin contact with anyone outside of his team in case, they were either taking TRT themselves or they had some sort of cream rubbed on their hands. This is what I'm saying. I think Garcia's team will go down this route and they'll say, there was poisoning or somebody did this and that. But ultimately, it's the same thing. Strict liability is a real thing in my eyes. Garcia has to take his lickings. Now, whether he didn't take it on purpose, but you have to be smart. I mean, for all the guff we give Fury, it was still a wise move not drinking that water in Germany. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying the water was
Titan gives a
tampered with.
shit anyway. Come on.
No, no, no. It's a bad example, but regardless of how it got in Garcia's system, him and his team are responsible. So they're going to have to figure this out and and move forward. And obviously, we'll be watching it closely, pal. But not a good morning. I see where Kent's coming from. I was obviously disappointed when I saw it, but we'll move forward and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, do you want to go to part two, kid?
Uh, we got 9 minutes if you want to stick about.
Oh, sorry, I thought it said 2 minutes.
No, you're good.
I'm getting old now, Adam. I'm not that old, are you?
30, 32.
32. I'm old enough to be your granddad, mate. I might even be your dad.
Oh, Jesus. I was wondering what happened.
I remember that thing with Floyd Mayweather where he were arguing with somebody. I forget who it were now. And he turned around and he said, "Listen, I might even be your dad." I'm not sure if it were Broner or Tank or one of them. He fell out with him, didn't he? He
Mm.
came out with something like that. I thought it was funny, but small things abuse small-minded people like me. But hey ho, hey ho. Do you feel that Ryan Garcia's let his send down, or do you think he don't care because he's like a zillionaire and just does what he wants, doesn't he? Basically,
Ah, I'm sure he's very, very disappointed. Obviously, if let's go through all the scenarios. Let's say he took it purposely. Obviously, he's going to be disappointed that he got caught. So that's one. If he didn't knowingly take it, he's obviously probably going to be very disappointed anyway. He's been framed or whatever. Like I said, I'll find it and I'll send you the link to that wee Twitter voice note or wherever it is. But he sounded cool as a cucumber this morning.
yeah.
And that can mean two things as well. Either he knew beforehand or who knows. But we talked about it previously. I don't think, even with that win versus Haney, even if it was clean before all this came out, I still didn't think he would be in the sport for crazy long. I thought that win probably would have given him an extra couple of fights, but he's got so much else going on, so many ways to make money that I didn't think he was going to be in it for the massive long haul. Um, I think now whether he gets cleared or not, or just whether forget gets cleared, whether depending on how the public take everything that's gone down with this positive test, I think that's kind of going to dictate where he moves forward. If people turn a blind eye and they don't really care, he'll probably spur him on a bit more. But if people give him, the hair blower treatment or hair dryer treatment, maybe he'll skedaddle a bit quicker. But it's wild hard to know at this point, man. Like you said, he seems a bit crackers at the best of times. So who knows how he's going to handle everything going on? Who knows?
Yeah, it's it seems to me like he's not handling his fame very good because he's like a superstar now, and he's not even won a belt yet, has he?
Mm,
Has he won a belt? I don't think he's a world. Has he won it into him or something? I don't think he's won a belt, has he?
no, no. I think he had like the WBC silver or whatever, but no, 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 no belts. Yeah,
But he's a good-looking kid. He looks the part. He looks like something out of the boy band, doesn't he, or something, doesn't he? So I can understand why he's got all these screaming brats. You know, we're putting him up on the walls, posters, or whatever they're doing. The teeny bopper type kid looks like some. Doesn't he? Do you think?
he does. Yeah, he looks like he could be straight into One Direction. No worries, you know.
You wouldn't like to think you were on a night out with a gad, would you? And Bean.
Geez, that's a rough trio. Oh, the three Grease Musketeers. Holy moly.
Hey, unbelievable. It's it shocked me, but what can you do? I was waiting for something last night for trending boxing stories on here last night, but
Mm,
come out early hours at morning. I was like,
yeah.
But it's a shame, really. But they've all jumped on it. I had a quick glance at Atman. I don't mind having a look at Atman. He usually gives you good facts, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think he were probably shocked more than anybody, Atman. I was shocked, but Big Richard weren't because he said to me after, he says, I reckon he's on gear him, that Garcia. He's acting like a crazy man, wasn't he? He was acting like a crazy man all fight week, wasn't he, really? Do you think?
He was, oh, absolutely. And even running up to it, he was acting like a crazy man. I think some of it was definitely for show. Some of it was smoke and mirrors where he was trying to kind of lull Haney in. But I think people kind of over publicized it a bit. Like I said, I think he's a bit eccentric at the best of times. And I think there was probably a bit of pressure on him too, which probably kind of threw fuel on the fire. So no, he did seem crazy. Look, I my prediction before the fight was Haney was going to stand him on his head. Nothing that I saw in fight week made me think that that wasn't going to happen. If
Yeah.
anything, I thought there was probably a better chance of it happening. But whether it was Haney kind of chilling out too much and thinking I can knock this guy out, or whether it was the mind games, or whether it was just, I think the main reason was Haney got hit with a pop of power, and he just kind of froze and didn't make the proper adjustments. Either way, he got flogged. There's no doubt about it. Whether there was drugs involved, whether he was overweight, he still got a pounding, and that is with the help from a referee as well. I mean, the last thing I'll say, I know we're jumping over to the new link soon. The last thing I'll say, because all we're going to hear for the next 6 months or year is going to be Conor Benn situation versus the Ryan Garcia situation. But I'll come back to the why in both. So, or sorry, why and when. So why would Conor Benn hypothetically have been taking what he was taking? He would have been taking it because he was coming off a cycle of PEDs and he wanted to mask and get back on a new cycle. That's the why. When did he take it? It was in the middle of the fight camp. So that's a very obvious why and when to me that show a guy's guilty. If you look at the why and the when of when Garcia allegedly took what he took, none of it makes sense. You know what I mean, man? Like I agree it's in his system, but it doesn't make sense. You're definitely going to get caught, and you're taking one of the dirtier PEDs. What I mean by that is you know it's going to stay in your system for longer. Doesn't matter how much water you drink or what you take to flush it out. So the why and the when for Garcia make absolutely no sense if you are going to cheat. But it's in his system. Strict liability is a real thing to me. So he's just going to have to sort this out the best he can. So let's see, sir.
Mm, very interesting. Do you want to go into part two, kid?
Yep, jumping straight on. Good man.
Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. We're just going to roll with it onto part two. Pop, pop, bang.